We will have MVP starting on their color, the blue side. On the left here, gonna take away KSV's Gnar to start off things, as well as a Galio ban against Ian.
KSV largely been on Gnar and Gangplank. Only a single game on Orin outside of 4 games each on Gnar and Gangplank. See if he's gonna be, it's certainly gonna be pushed out of his comfort zone, as now only the Orin remains available. Korean teams always do adapt in terms of pick ban strategy week on week, even if a patch stays the same. So very early ban on the Galio, one of the tools that Kongdu Monster was so good at using against KSV. When it comes to MVP, there's not a lot of individual picks you have to respect. You know, a certain champion, signature champion like, say, Sion from ADD, Syndra from Ian. We won't expect bans towards those. So KSV probably just banning out the problem champs that have caused them stress recently.
So much left over in this draft. After the 6 bans, we have Ezreal, Sejuani, Zoe still available. Seems like Sejuani is just too high up there in terms of tier. They're gonna give that one over to Beyond tier. But still, other picks remain for KSV if they wanna go down that path.
Yeah, first time Sejuani has been picked up by Beyond this season. Over the side of KSV, well, we see Crown return to Zoe, already hovering it as I finish the point, with Galio taken out. We saw BDD win the skill matchup
Rise too.
against Azir. Sorry, as Azir against the Zoe, so always an outside chance. And like you say, with Rise gone, only Azir is really there of the real tip-top mid laners. So interesting stuff here. The Zoe priority might be a new thing this week. It really started to ramp up at the end of last week after Edge pulled out another big performance for Kongdu Monster. Expected to be a ban in our second series. And speaking of reaches, we've seen very early rotation Brahms, but very early rotation Taric hasn't really been a thing since the thick and thin of the Odin Sensor meta midway through the World Championship. So a surprise to see such an early Taric from KSV.
Yeah, especially for Core JJ, you know, he's been playing a lot of Tom Kench, a lot of Braum, but they really have an idea in mind, perhaps a counter to something like the Sejuani. If she does engage, you can immediately Cosmic Radiance and try to save your team and enter the team fight, because Sejuani loves to just start and dive on in like that.
Well, let's follow the logic. Biggest criticism for KSV was playing passive drafts with scaling and low engage. The only reason you take Taric over Tahm Kench and Braum is if you want to go in, because Taric is equally as good initiating. He actually struggles reactionarily because of the 2.5 second arm time. Yeah. So my impression is, with that early Taric priority, KSV is saying, well, we know where we've been weak. It has been in their proactivity. Now the proactivity can start, and the Jarvan from Ambition, future world skin for Samsung Galaxy, is coming in on that Jarvan pick, does suggest more aggression in the draft and in the game plan from KSV.
I like it. They're looking to end the games here against MVP quickly. It's funny to see how Ezreal got through the pick and ban here. KSV has not picked their ADC just yet. You see that MVP has.
Might just be a double ban on Ezreal Kalista if they want to take out some of the big picks for Ruler. I believe he'll just default to Tristana there, or show us something new. Can always hope. It's Alawi ban. Okay, so a tank buster is Alawi. So ADD facing Alawi coming through on the side of Kingzone Dragon X when Rascal played it in the top lane. Did fine in the matchup, but clearly they're looking for a more tanky pick for the side of top lane, and we can see which tanky pick in particular as they do lock in the Orin.
Yep, Orin still no nerfs on this ban, or rather on this patch. We still are on 8.1, so still can be unstoppable in W and has that lower cooldown on his ultimate.
So Ian, where will Ian go? We were left a lot to be desired with his Zoe games. Now he's against Zoe. He has very strong engage, sort of comp where in previous metas Orianna was one of his favorites and would fit this draft very well. Azir right now is certainly the stronger choice. The laning phase though, it was actually Ian making mistakes in the reverse matchup that really cost them against BDD. So we'll see what Ian was able to pick up there, jumping on Azir again this season. Already played it twice. They've got no victory, so I don't need to tell you that he hasn't won, but 0-2 on that pick, and then we will see the lock-in here on the Camille. So gonna try and take the aggressor role. MVP very, very strong lockdown and engage. KSV, like I mentioned, with nothing else left in his champion pool, is gonna default to the Tristana here. more aggressive initiation draft from KSV. This reads like the team sat down, watched the VOD review, particularly of Game 1 against Konglu Monster, where they took scaling, low engage, and got smashed in the early game, and they're going to show us something different. This is the sort of draft where the world champions are saying, we've got initiation, we've got high-tier picks, we want to flex on a team we believe we can beat. Let's see if they can actually make the mindset shift, because it has been slow and steady at every moment for KSV in 2018.
Like I said before, this is a good matchup if you want to get back on your feet after a bad loss. And it's also a good matchup to try new stuff. If this is not necessarily your normal way to play the game, your game style, this is a good matchup to practice it in. And you were talking about high-tier picks. MVP got some of their own, too. Yep. Azir has been so contested up at the top. And also Sejuani and Tom Kent's 3 big picks that we're seeing. Avaris as well in the AD carry role.
They desperately need to make one of these picks stand out and actually force targeted bans in future games. That's kind of what they need to do here. Obviously, a game win is also something they're going for, but any level towards that, any advancement on their current status of just being our cellar dwellers would be a step forward for MVP. So like you say, nice draft on paper. There is some good answers, and the mid lane matchup is a bit concerning, given Azir's have traditionally been in pretty big strife against Zoe's. Crown has shown us Zoe once. That was a win, but that was in quite the crazy game against Afrika Freaks. The turnaround required. Let's see how he does second time up.
Yeah. I'm feeling the hype. I don't know why, but I feel like MVP is going to win today. It's just a feeling. I hope I didn't curse them, but we'll have to wait and see, guys, as the countdown is about to begin to bring us into game number 1 of MVP versus KSV. Here we go, guys. Match number 21. The first match of week 3. I feel like we've already casted a lot, but it's only week 3 of 9. Then we got playoffs after, Papa.
Look, we hit blackjack, so at least we're doing something right. The dealer will reward us with an amazing game, hopefully, as you say, in our 21st match of the season. We had a 3-day week last week for Spo TV, so it's only back to the 2. So I won't see you for a few match days. The eSports Bachelor will rotate as Atlas and Achilleos will get a look in the next couple of days.
I was enjoying my extra
Papa
week.
time?
Yeah, the extra Papa time. It's going to be the only week where it's delayed like that, and we have 6 on 1 week. Thankfully for you, Papa, and your health.
Yeah, back to my 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on schedule. That's the standard LCK schedule that was interrupted due to stadium requirements here at the Nexon Arena. But back to norm, so you guys will know exactly when to tune in. No more crazy matchups and no more fun for Ian, who already has received his first, but no doubt not his last paddle star in lane.
Yeah. You guys noticed that at the end of summer, in round 2, they did take a surprising upset win over Samsung at the time, but the same rosters going head-to-head.
Could see that was their only game wins, were in that final best of 3 as Samsung were on the rampage. Samsung, remember, only on the last match day of the season were they unseeded from first place. In the last best of 3 against Longzhou, whoever won that series would have ended first in the regular season. We would have seen Samsung in their first ever LCK final. It didn't happen. They went on to win Worlds, so you could say at least there was a happy ending there. The storyline of this season is, can this KSV roster, which has gone unchanged since becoming world champions, actually make it through the playoffs? They've never even won a playoff best of 5. So best of 5s in Korea has been something that has always really eluded KSV.
Max on the Tom Kench has a lot of opportunity on that pick to be a playmaker. Doesn't pick up the Alistair this game, decides to play a bit more of a protector role with Maha on the Varus, but we've seen what Abyssal Voyage can do in a lot of these games. A lot of the more aggressive supports love to head towards mid and even top.
Speaking of aggressive, is this one of the fabled Ambition? Nope, just going to be contesting.
Ooh, smited away by Beyond. Ambition had his smite, just missed it. So nicely done there.
Making the right read that invading against Ambition is usually the right way to go. Is known for his very passive farm phase, why they've tried to integrate Haru so many times. Is in general Ambition struggles for early games, at least the skill shot accuracy seems on point so far from Crown.
I love how Zoe skips away after just demolishing almost all your health. Seems to be very happy about it. Reminds me a lot of Annie in that style. But like a little bit of Jinx mixed in where she's also kind of crazy at the same time. I don't know the lore behind the champions really, Papa. Do you pay attention to the lore at all?
I do not. I've never been a lore person. Didn't read the Journal of Justice back in the day or read too much. I like Trundle's lore, the old lore, when he was a Byronic hero of sorts, but in general, not big on the lore. I'm into the numbers. Talk to me about AP ratios and AD ratios, but
yeah.
The lore is a bit beyond me.
Is there any caster that's like a big lore guy? I don't really...
a Freak knows the lore very well.
Freak knows the lore, yeah. You could say it's his job to know the lore. He's been around for a really long time, should know the history.
For at least this particular early game, Azir's been able to push in mid, which, as you can see, means that 3 lanes are doing pretty happily. Camille can't necessarily shove against Orin, but can manipulate the lane pretty well, can push it in or let it push in as she kind of pleases after a few levels and actually take trades with the Q. Mid lane, Azir can push in before the cooldown patterns and the trading patterns for Crown start to really punish the Azir. And the bot lane, of course, KSV will know all about the Varus pick. So even though the Tahm Kench isn't helping, it's a pretty neutral lane, so allowed Beyond to invade pretty happily. Hasn't gone for the invading rune. Usually when we see invading Sejuanis, they're favoring the fleet footwork, a big Umti special, but gonna be Aftershock this time, just trying to be a tanky initiator on the Sejuani.
Gathering Storm, guys, on ADD. They're going up against KSV. We talk a lot about how Jin Air is the team that takes it late, but KSV and Samsung also famously love to take the game late, take it slow, and it's not a bad idea, especially when you want to scale up in the side lane when you're fighting up against Horn.
You usually wouldn't see it on something like Camille, but I guess because Camille goes into the sorcery tree, one of the few top laners that doesn't go unsealed spellbook like we see from QV, makes some sense there, not a lot of opportunity costs. And Scorch isn't going to hurt an Ornn who can just piece together loads of defensive stats.
Yeah.
Probably just going to be a Frozen Heart rush from QV. We don't see Iceborne Gauntlet with any regularity here in Korea after the early days of the season. Works so well against Azir and Varus, of course, so just needs to get one for the team.
I'm not a big fan of the Scorch. You were talking about that rune. Definitely liking Gathering Storm. For solo queue, Scorch makes a lot more sense because the game is usually over at 20 minutes, but...
Also, it's carry versus carry matchup. Fiora versus Camille, for example, or in a Jace match, I think Jace should be taking Scorch every time. But I agree. In general, it's nice use of the Unstoppable there by QV.
Doing a nice job. Has it as
got
ultimate
Ignite,
up.
remember?
Yeah, he wants to do it, but nice dodge there with the Hextech Ultimatum. Look at all the minions stomping away, but is it going to matter? No! QV wins the 1v1. ADD thought he could just go ahead with the Hextech Ultimatum and dodge, but still did not win the matchup.
And that was the mind game that was there, was ADD was like, I know exactly how to play this. I'm going to dodge out the ult. I've done it before in solo queue. But then he got surprised by the Ignite. The Ignite there was not respected. That was enough between that and another round of Bellows Breath and auto attack. So ADD kind of got in his own head there, went aggressive, didn't need to. QV was just playing the farm game. And first blood to the Ornn shows the potency of being able, with Unsealed Spellbook, to take the laning summoner and get the maximum from it.
And just more woes for MVP. You know, we talk about how nothing, well, we're going to have to talk about that later as we have an engage here onto Crown, even with the heal. Has a second flash coming in here and sleeps onto the Sejuani. Azir on the chase, and Crown is still running away. We got ADD now coming on in. Should be just a matter of time, especially with the Camille, but he's going to sleep the Camille. Does not matter. 3 members to finally catch the Zoe.
Yeah, it took too long, but credit to Ian. Nice understanding of the ranges of the flash ulti there. We've been critical on Ian this season after some struggles, most recently in his 2 Zoe games. That was a good look onto the Azir. Gets the first blood onto Crown. Crown went very offensive in his summoner spell. He actually went for heal, which seems bizarre against a Sejuani, but obviously would have been very helpful in the earlier levels. Nice punishment on the Sejuani.
Yeah, finally making something work from the mid and jungle. Getting Ian ahead. Has also the Dark Seal, which is definitely going to help him in this lane up against Zoe. Let's take another look here.
So Beyond was shown on multiple wards. I think Crown was in the shop doing a bit of a faker there.
Oh boy.
He ends up getting caught. Does live surprisingly long. Flash he picked up from Ian, helping aid his escape. Is in picture. They're turning on to Max and Maha. Maha might be dead.
Maha has that Ignite ticket and he is going to go down. Ruler super low too, but Max all alone is going to miss the lick. Gray health popping here, but they are going to commit to the Cataclysm. League of Stopwatches makes a return, saves the Catfish's life for now.
And I think that MVP was surprised by the aggression in a Taric lane, but something I was going to talk about before we got the full screen replay is that Taric straight up bought a tier before he got Targons or any other items. And you might ask why. Maybe we should talk about this for a second.
Non-stop fighting in this game, Papa, but you can see that ADD still having a hard time after getting solo kill.
Yeah, Ignite was available, so I wasn't 100% sure he wouldn't see an all-in attempt. Won't be going for
it low on mana.
Yeah, no turret dive realistically, but when you see tier that early, Valdez, it should be a sign that you're looking to shove and that you're looking to potentially all in, but you're not going to take as many extended trades, so you're a bit worried about the lower health and combat stats on the target. You take tier in order to get the healing up, but they went for an all-in with the tier and surprised the side of MVP with their aggression, committed on the kill, didn't even need Jarvan, who got no kill involvement as Ambition closed in fairly late in the piece. So nice little advantage there to KSV, getting that kill against the run of the lane where previously Varus had been pushing in.
See how this happens. Max hits really far forward, but so does Maha.
Maha just got super surprised by the dash in and hit by the dazzle, so was always going to die on the back end here. Got the full explosive charge reset onto the Leap, and Ruler on point with his use of the stopwatch as well. Those are the stopwatches we like to see. The very aggressive uses are super common in the LPL. Usually it's defensive here in Korea. Nice play from Ruler, and playing to items as well is something I love to see.
Speaking of the LPL, we don't get to watch it too often, just on our off days, because LPL is basically always on at the same time slot.
Sometimes you get the dream, and we get to catch a little bit in between games here.
True, but you're not joking. It's non-stop action over there. I don't get to watch it too often, but the other day I was watching it, and I was like, damn, this is pretty fun.
I've made the analogy many times. The LPL is the best popcorn flick ever. If you like Pirates of the Caribbean, you'll love the LPL, non-stop action.
Okay, well, we have some action here. This is action-packed so far. Ambition getting pretty low. Double stopwatch at the same time, but ADD making his way in. This is just a 5-on-5. KSV's going to be taken out first. We got Ambition by himself in the pit. Should be taken out by Beyond now. Maha getting low, and Kive looking to carry, but Max trying to save his life on the bottom side. Not going to be able to, as Ruler does get the kill. Now going for more. Wants to get the resets onto Ian. They take out the Catfish. One more, and a double kill for Ruler. On to Max means that Samsung eventually wins the fight.
Yeah, initially it looked like it was going to be a win to MVP after two members of KSV went down. But when Crown finally had the space to rain down hell from above to actually get those Qs and paddle stars in, extended fight is where KSV were really able to make MVP pay. We can watch the replay. So KSV do blow some health taking this, but they have the tier onto Taric. So they have quite a lot of healing to begin. MVP use their long cooldown ultimates. They get the picks with Focus Fire, but they spend a lot of time, and consider who they kill. They kill Core JJ, and then they kill Ambition. Those are the first two to go down from MVP. All the threats are still alive, and the front line from MVP no longer has a lot of health. Camille zones herself away. Camille was needed to actually put threat onto Ruler. The only person with a health bar or a mana bar that could actually stop Ruler and also Crown from fighting was the Camille, but Camille was out of position and couldn't actually help them. That's why they took such heavy losses in the second part of the fight.
Yeah. Also have to mention that the Infernal Drake did go over to KSV. That's how this fight all started in the beginning, so nice extra damage, especially for Zoe and Tristana.
And I've got exciting news. I'm actually gripping you by the shoulder to give you exciting news.
What happened?
We have an item imbalance in bot lane for the first time in forever, because it's actually a full Shiv BF sword against not a Rage Blade, because there's been so much fighting that there wasn't just a straight up Rage Blade purchase 11 minutes into the game.
Wow.
So we have a Fed ruler. But once bot lane's interesting, as for now.
Yeah, the action never stops.
Yep.
As they are coming in to steal this blue buff. Ambition will pick it up. Sejuani ultimate used and whiffed by Beyond, sailing wide, trying to save Ian's life.
I think Maha should be very respectful here. He's well behind in items. They do not win a 2v2, even if it is a nice little trade at the start there coming through. Again, have to always remember that usually with Taric lanes, sustain is not a word to talk about, but they can just, as you see, freely use the heal. Mechanic there is if you actually get the passive, which is the 2 auto attacks, and use Q, you have it back. You have the heal back available. And even the fact that it's a big mana sink is no longer relevant. So KSV are going to all in, I think, pretty much off cooldown. That's why Maha and Max need to be very respectful.
Yeah. The only thing that might be stopping them right now is the fact that Ruler has neither of his summoners. They have tons of vision down on the bottom side. And even wards being cleared up on the top side by Sejuani. So they know her position. They know they have Ambition nearby as well.
AD and Cuve, pretty much a tank fight in the top side, but seeing KSV roam with Ambition, trying to get that extra coverage you were mentioning on the red side.
Finally, one of those control wards goes down, but 2 more were placed here. Ambition getting deep into the red side jungle. Beyond's ultimate is still on cooldown, so they're not going to try to go in and catch a Jarvan at this point in time.
Still have a lot of strength around the Drake, which is going to be the site of most of the fights in the first 20 minutes of the game. Crown will just leave lane bot side, and all Ian can do is play towards his top side, and for now it's the top laner and the, both top laners just fighting in vision. So there's no threat onto the members of KSV with the vision control they have of being ganked, and an immense threat onto the side of MVP, as the Gathering Storm is clearly going to be picked up on both sides of the Rift.
Yeah. Players are just beginning to realize that the games are going long enough on average. Even at 30 minutes, it's not a bad rune to have, but especially at 40, that's when you begin to notice it. And the possibility of it going even longer is not out of this world, as we have seen. So that's 2 members in the game that have Gathering Storm. Does anyone else have it?
Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting that a minor rune, not one of the keystones, actually holds so much power when it comes to the late game. It's one of the things that's the least clear. We always wonder when we see Sorcery Tree at all, whether it's picked up, but in this particular case, we now know, thanks to Spo TV, for confirming that. It's going to be so relevant later in the game. It almost feels like at 40 minutes we should have a indicator to be like, hey guys, this is really relevant now.
Yeah.
It's something you can forget.
Just like a small little update and show us the numbers once again, because people aren't always going to know the exact numbers at 40, 50, 60 minutes. Beyond's going to have his try at the Rift Herald now. We saw Ambition trying it earlier on, didn't get to finish it off.
And all the control is bottom side for KSV, so he can be pretty confident that he will get plenty of free time onto the Rift Herald. Cloud Drake spawning in 10 seconds, and KSV looking to monopolize that objective. So splitting the map vertically here. Vertical jungling does mean that one of those neutrals goes over to both sides, and Ambition wants a red buff as well.
See if he can actually take it, because the bottom lane of MVP is pushing on in. Does have the smites, but the Rift Herald is taken. No steal by Maha. Red buff will go over to Ambition. Cloud Drake has spawned. Not looking to go for that just yet. They want to get first blood turret in the bot lane if possible. Try to get Ruler even farther ahead. We're seeing another ultimate here. Nice dodge by ADD, but still having trouble against Ornn in the top lane.
Yeah, QA doesn't have Ignite this time, so the threat is lower. The actual kill threat, but even just chunking him out of lane and forcing a teleport to top side to match the teleport that QV has already used. Not often you see an Ornn with a teleport disadvantage against his lane opponent, but the case right now.
Another Drake and a second Infernal Drake is going to be number 3 of the game. So You know that KSV is going to be looking for that. We haven't engaged here as Beyond is making his way up top. He's going to flash that ultimate easily, but a flash in from Beyond. They are diving this. They want it. Another stun coming on in. Beyond is so tanky that he can tank this turret forever. Look at ADD getting low. Beyond finally taking some damage, but either way, is going to be the 2v1 dive up in the top lane, a successful kill.
You don't need a stopwatch when you're that damn tanky. Double Ruby Crystal and a damn Kindle Gem in the inventory on top of the Cinderhulk. Amusingly tanky at this point. Basically had a budget Warmox going on with his item build. So nice tanking there. The reason why they were so hard on it is they have the Rift Herald trying to make it 2 turrets in the top side as the Camille pushes in.
Might be able to here. ADD is getting lower and Kive is about to respawn, but does not have TP up. You can see that this turret is getting lower and lower. At least KSV was able to respawn with the first blood turret in the bottom lane, just barely. But that means 2 extra turrets here for MVP.
Like you say, the second turret is something that can be returned to and be significant. Your first indication at 90 minutes into the game of whether breaking a second turret will mean more than gold is probably no, because actually when the mid lane turrets are up, getting value out of the second turret being down is very difficult. Kind of need the extra space to find different ways to invade the enemy jungle and actually push in minions to get true value out of any turret, and especially when a carry now has a super long lane to go to, an extra lane where getting red side jungle control and not getting ganked as ADD is not a trivial thing, can be used against you. So obviously immediately you feel good about the gold. If they can make a threat onto Baron around 22 minutes and specifically get the mid lane turret, it can be big, but training up in turrets at this time is always that double-edged sword.
Crown finally getting an item here, is working towards what looks like a Banshee's Veil second. And you can see that he's already beginning to do a nice bit of damage. Beyond hasn't gotten any magic resist so far, which is why even with his massive pool of health, still takes a nice bit of damage from Zoe.
It's not going to be a very defensive build from Crown. When you look at the items, you're thinking it's probably going to be Banshee Veil from the Fiendish Codex and Blasting Wand, which makes sense against the magic damage threats here from MVP and the initiation chain, and does, of course, mean he's not going to be buying for a QSS, you'd imagine, because it would just be too many infantry shots on the defensive side. Does delay the Leandries, which can be super powerful in the poking, so we'll keep tracks there.
That was pretty close. This is a bait through and through. Trying to get onto Crown is Beyond, but now they're actually going to back off here, even 4v2, as multiple members of MVP were coming down the river, especially Camille was coming in.
Yeah, it was cool prediction on the portal jump, but not a prediction on the cavalry being there, so Beyond not able to actually punish Crown looking for a pick.
Okay, maybe they'll try their luck here. Not quite. Ambition himself going fairly tanky in his items as well, Cinderhulk.
He's been the trendsetter. We started the season with more of the Warrior into Black Cleaver into Guardian Angel Jarvan, but recently it's been all Cinderhulk. In his interview, they asked him about it, and he said, look, this is what I'm most comfortable with, and more and more people deferring to the world champion jungler with the tanky build on Jarvan.
Yeah, I like the tanky build myself. Feels kind of bad when you're playing solo queue. You go very heavy on the attack damage, and you can pop a couple people, the squishies, but if later game you're just going to go down super quick if you don't have some amount of tankiness.
The trades get better and better for ADD. 2 Gathering Storm procs and Trinity Force Tiamat complete. Probably going to be going for Ravenous Hydra, probably going to be going for as much early power, not the Titanic, for eventual scaling.
Ooh, that's a nice little angle that Crown found. Using the bottom side of the wall. He is going to get caught, though. He does have Cleanse this time around. Ambition getting low, but the Cosmic Radiance comes in. They want to find an engage here. They're going to find ADD on the bottom side. Looking for the knockup. Will they actually commit? Over that wall seems a bit too scary for now, so they do just push ADD back.
Ruler certainly is coming with a super aggressive mindset in this game. Rocket jumping in multiple times. We watched some double lift odds, it feels like, with this level of aggression on Tristana. Minion wave getting cleared. Turret very low here. I want the first mid lane turret of the game not to be for the side of KSV.
It's funny to see KSV getting so frisky with their fights. You know, they draft this aggressive composition and they're just going head to head with MVP. But so far, MVP has been holding their own. They're not too far behind. They're looking to get aggressive themselves. Crown might be in a lot of trouble here. 3-on-1 at the moment. CoreJJ just hit a nice dazzle, trying to save his life, but that's done. It's going to be enough. They get Crown. Meanwhile, Ruler is pushing in the mid lane, so they trade a kill for a turret.
Yeah, Crown will be frustrated because they had a lot of vision around that side of the jungle, but the Abyssal Voyage cheated past most of it. Crown will wonder how this happened. Punished with a turret, but turret was already very low in the mid side, and Tristan not going to get more. It is a mindset jump, and the person who I'm most happy to see adjust their mindset is Ruler. Ruler, to me, is the one I'm happiest to see playing aggressive, because you and I have talked about it a couple of times, talked about it on the OGN broadcast. In the off-season, every time you tuned into a high ELO Korean stream, Ruler was popping off. Ruler was really strong on the mechanics. On the Varus, end up being very passive, but taking a lift from the double lifts playbook and being more aggressive. Crown tried to be aggressive, but Abyssal Voyage strong there, so credit to Max and the rest of MVP for catching him off as Inferno started.
Yeah, nicely done by Ambition. Gets the steal there at the same time as the spear. Nicely timed, and they get the second Infernal and the third Drake of the game.
Yeah, denying Infernal is really big for KSV. They actually only have 2 threats, so it's not as high a value Infernal as our 4 threat comps we've had this season. But MVP would desperately love to stall out the game and get extra AD, especially onto ADD, the person who has the Gathering Storm and wants to be a split pusher. So 2 Infernals here will help Ruler, who's already very, very powerful. The 2 early kills means he's an item ahead of Maha, who already has, you know, the non-Infinity Edge build, usually a cheaper build. So the Wits End build is usually about hitting your scaling timings. KSV now looking very powerful.
Yeah, sitting on 3 items already. Going to be chunking people down. Level 13 for now, so as it is on this patch, you level up quite fast, the amount of farming. And here's some more aggressive play. Misses the dazzle onto Ian. Abyssal Voyage comes in from Max, just looking to save his life. Didn't need saving.
In a team with Jarvan on Ornn, our initiator has been Tristana multiple times. Sort of thing that definitely can be used against you if he makes a mistake, but so far, controlled aggression from Ruler. Trying to bait the Baron.
Okay, he's gonna run straight into it. Nice little check there by Beyond. We'll see if he gets punished for it. Does have his stopwatch still, but it's gonna be too much damage there. 4 members of KSV in position. Crown still chunking out the Sejuani.
And this is where the Zoe can be so strong. The turn away from Baron if you walk through water brushes. But now MVP slow and actually getting here. Spot vision, they know it's around 5,000 health.
Yeah, we have a fight in the bottom lane too. Kive should be able to win that. He does get the kill right before the Baron gets taken. I was saying that MVP was holding their own. Doesn't look like that anymore.
I'm not even 100% sure how that started, but Kive probably not. Should not be solo killing the enemy Camille 25 minutes into the game. We'll need a replay to know how it started. Maybe interrupted it back. Unsure on that one, but the end result, whether it was a turret dive gone wrong, just a true misplay from ADD. Baron and the cherry on top also picking up a solo kill for the Ornn. MVP had an improved early game. We said any signs of life would be an improvement for them. The early game has been better, but not good enough when KSV now have Baron at 27.
They're looking for their 3rd or 4th pick on Beyond this game. It's been a lot, and he is going to get out of this one, but they give up a turret, going up against the Baron. Kive pushing in the bottom lane, all very methodical from here on out.
Definitely expected. KSV pushing up bot side. Now the initiation on the Abyssal Voyage looks like a death sentence. KSV are grouped, very powerful in doing so, showing the aggression we wanted to see from them. Now the turn.
ADD once again just being chunked out. He's fighting his own fight up at the top side. He's gonna get knocked out by the Ornn once again. Ian in the front is just tanking the Tristana shots. There goes the second one. Once a 3rd one will get Ian. He's jumping forward, he's Beyond. all of these other MVP members. He keeps jumping ahead of them. This is hilarious. That's going to be the ace and potentially the game here. 40 minutes, or rather 40 seconds on the death timers, and they're going for it.
Ruler is Super Mario, Goomba stomping one member of MVP after the other. Like you say, in one Baron buff push, they're able to end the game, and KSV is fighting a fight against time. They want to be out of here as fast as possible.
That they will. A very quick game number one. We'll go over to KSV. 28 minutes, 24 seconds will be the end here. Ruler popping off quite literally on his Tristana.
And you know, we sat there and had those criticisms about KSV. The slow games, the passivity against Kongdu Monster. You know, watching Kongdu play this heavy initiation aggressive comp and KSV feeling powerless, largely feeling powerless against a Freak of Freaks last week as well. The coaching staff clearly agreed. This team played like there was a hot poker there saying fast, aggressive, assertive. All those words described KSV in game one, and Ruler especially. He ate his wheat mix this morning. He was feeling big and strong, diving in at every moment. Tristana, the true initiator. KSV, nice to see you again. After a week two, you did not want to remember.
MVP holding their own up to a certain point, but how many times is Camille going to get solo killed by an Ornn? How many times is the Sejuani going to get caught? The vision was not there towards the Baron. It just kind of fell away from them. They were looking okay, and then eventually, almost 2 minutes later, I'm like, what the hell happened? These guys just disappeared.
I mean, the best of MVP is not going to be enough to beat KSV. That's no surprise to anyone, but the MVP we saw here had more of a ceiling and more of a floor. They did look better, but we still don't know if the best of MVP can beat many teams in this league, as I saw your eyes widen when between 26 minutes into the game and 28,
that's exactly
the game
what I
ended.
Said. 2 minutes.
A Baron buff power play ended the game. It went from 1,000 gold roughly to 10,000 in the game ending. The best teams can punish you. KSV are one of the best teams in Korea.
Kind of making it look like the old SKT style where they get one Baron power play, take out almost all your turrets, and just wipe the floor with you on the rift. So looking good today is KSV. MVP still trying to find an answer. You can see it's all just discussion and trying to prepare for the next game. We are going to go into a quick commercial break, guys. So make sure you grab your popcorn. Perhaps game number 2 will be even more fun. Can only imagine, Papa.
Yeah, a lot of League of Legends tonight. Only our first series, but MVP, a lot to do.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys in about 5 minutes.